In this video, I've prepared a paint color palette that you can use on your next project centered around the Farrow and ball color called Jitney, which is this wonderful brown-based mid-tone neutral that I'm delighted to share with you today. I'm James the Color Guy, and today we're going to give you all the need-to-know information on Jitney and then some other paint colors that go really well with it on both your trim and your baseboards, but also other parts of your home. So if that sounds awesome, obviously it does, right? Come on, press that like button for me, and if you're new here, subscribe to stay up to date because we put out a lot of content on this channel consistently. So Jitney is a wonderfully popular paint color by Farrow and Ball, and that doesn't always necessarily mean a whole lot, but I think in this case it does. Farrow and Ball is known for rich colors that are really saturated, and a lot of them are tied to historical architecture, so a lot of history behind the company, which is really interesting. But I guess all that rich history makes for some rich products that you do gotta pay a premium for Farrow and Ball. I mean, at the end of the day. High quality stuff, but high prices. So if you're not comfortable using the actual paint itself, you can always consider getting some color matches made at your local paint store with whatever product you decide to use. But anyway, let's talk about these colors. So Jitney, like I said, a mid-tone neutral paint color. We don't know exactly how light or dark it is because Farrow and Ball doesn't give us the all-important LRV. And if you're new to the channel, that stands for light reflectance value. It's essentially a 0 to 100 scale of lightness. So the higher that number is, the closer it is to 100, the more light it reflects, and therefore the more light it appears. If I had to guess Jitney's LRV, maybe 50, maybe 49, like somewhere in the mid-tone category for sure. It has a lovely amount of depth to it, considering it's not really a pastel or an off-white or anything like that. But what you get here is something that is very muted, very casual, very timeless paint color, and it does lean towards the warm side of things if we're talking about color temperature. So this isn't a gray. I wouldn't even call this a grayish. It is a sandy, neutral, brown-based color that is a little bit toned down with a touch of gray perhaps. But all in all, super flexible color. So no matter what design style you're going with, whether it's a little more contemporary or a little more traditional, mid-century modern, Japandi, I could see this working in pretty much any circumstance. Maybe not necessarily as a main color to use throughout a home, only because it does have some depth to it. So there might be spaces where you want something a bit lighter. Well, guess what? I got some of those options for you in a little bit. But before we get to my trim colors and my color pairings, I wanted to let you know about our Patreon, which is live right now. Every single Sunday, we have exclusive content on there for our premium members, either in the prep or the prime tiers. If you are a prime member, you not only get access to extra content, but you get your own personalized mini color quickie from me every 3 months. So link in the description down below if you're interested in that. Okay, so we talked about the color. I gave you the little Patreon pitch. Now let's talk about some trim options. And Wimborne White is going to be my choice for a light trim color or a white trim color, which I still think is the standard when it comes to your baseboards and your frames and all that. White or off-white, it just looks clean, it looks finished, it looks fresh, and it's going to contrast with the wall color, which I think is nice. You'll just have them pop off of one another in a really, really cool way. Wimborne White is a wonderfully classic color. It has some warmth to it, so it is a little more on the creamy side of things, a touch of a yellow undertone, but it's slight, it's subtle, and it's perfect for Jitney. And it's funny, its tagline on the website is just off-white. For my other trim option, which is a darker alternative, it is a soft off-black, and it's called Tar. It's from the California collection by Kelly Wurstler that was released a little while ago, and it was a really fun California-inspired collection, of course, and Tar was the black of the bunch, but it's not quite a jet black, it's an off-black. It's one of the softest blacks that Farrow and Ball makes. There are some options that are a little more shaded or have a little more of a hue coming through. This one's pretty neutral, it's scaled back. It's meant to represent like asphalt that's been kind of baked in the sun. So it's faded a little bit and has just taken the edge off a slight bit. Also a little more of a trendy trim color because darker trim, especially black trim, pretty trendy right now. Think window frames specifically. I mean, black trim is pretty cool. All right, let's get to some color pairings. The first one being another off-white, a little bit darker than Wimborne White. It's called Slipper Satin. Similar family of colors here. This is a paint color that was named after ballet slippers. And I mean, those come in all sorts of shades and tints and tones now, but traditionally, yeah, just an off-white chalky color. Although I find with Slipper Satin, The yellow aspect is surprisingly timid. Like, it doesn't really read as kind of a pale yellow in person. It's more of a soft, warm gray. Wonderful choice as just a go-to color for the walls if you want something reliably light and creamy. Maybe you're not going with Jitney in a certain area because Jitney is just a little too dark or too brown. You want something that just feels a little more airy, then this is a great choice. The next color pairing, I would call it a co-accent color. And that's because I put two of them in this video because we already have a bunch of neutrals. Slipper Satin, Jitney, even Wimborne White, very, very passive colors. Now you have Buncha, which of course is named after the interesting tea from Japan. And it's a rich olive green, it has a ton of saturation, and it does lean a little bit towards the warm side of things. So we're keeping that in line with all the other colors minus tar, where they all have a little bit of a warmth to them. But the hues are quite different. You have your creams, you have white, now you have this green, this really rich green. And then of course Jitney, headlining the show, is more of a brown tan color. Buncha is wonderful, and you could use it as a room color if you wanted something really accentuated and just rich feeling. In fact, that's how I would personally see it being used. I think it is a wonderful room color, so don't be shy. And then the final color is one that I haven't talked about yet on this channel, and I actually am going to get Google to help me with pronunciation here. It is a Treskin Red. This color is awesome to me, and I love it for a number of different reasons. First of all, it is one of those brown-based deep reds, terracotta sort of vibe. It not only coordinates really, really well with neutrals. Jitney and Slipper Satin are gonna fade into the background when you introduce a Treskin Red. But next to Buncha, the way the two work together is just so fun, so dynamic, extremely complementary. So if you don't know much about complementary colors, they're just opposites on the color wheel. So they're gonna have a very dynamic relationship. So I wouldn't have an even keel 50-50 distribution of a Treskin Red and Buncha. I would have one used a lot more than the other. So even if you look at this rendering right here on Farrow and Ball, I would love to see this wall be Buncha and maybe this unit sprayed a Treskin Red. Just that little pop of red amongst a lot of green, or vice versa. Or you can keep them completely separate and then you don't really have to micromanage that as much. Just keep that in mind that these two particularly very, very much complementary and charged. Here's the palette all together. Please let me know what you think. And these Color Quickie episodes feature 6 color palettes for a bunch of different colors. We have fully fleshed out 12 color palettes for sale on our Patreon, so you can check that out in the description down below as well. But also we have another video right over here that costs you nothing. Did you subscribe yet, by the way? Thank you.